a stranger with a gun came upon 2 teens taking pictures under a rising full moon. But violence is only the beginning of this story.
Sometimes I thought, there are no miracles. Yeah, there are, and this is a big one.
I'm Amy Donaldson, and I've spent my career talking about how lives are undone by violence. The Letter is a podcast about how lives are remade. Follow The Letter at theletterpodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
In this episode of Project Recovery, we talk about suicide. We also discuss things of a sensitive nature. If you or someone you know is hurting, please call 1-800-273-8255.
Yeah, so it was about a year or so after I got jumped. I think I got jumped about 19, and then at 20, I had quit using methamphetamines.
But how does that happen? Because I mean,
yeah, I feel like you're skipping over something.
I probably am. Yeah.
Well, but I mean, the chronology's there, but like I'm interested in more your thought process, because here you are holding on to this idea of being part of this gang family while you're incarcerated. You come out, they're upset with you for being gone so long, so they turn on you, beat you within an inch of your life, it sounds like, and now you're still, that you said that enraged you became more angry. Mm-hmm. So why would that threat of the SWAT team make you feel like what did this officer say that developed insight? There's got to be some change in your way of thinking, because otherwise it would just be another place to push back in your life.
Right. Well, and I think what happened was I had people in my family was saying they could start telling that I was on something. I was trying to hide it, and you really can't hide it. I thought I was fooling people. I wasn't fooling anybody.
Everyone's like, hey, where's Casey been for a year?
Yeah, I mean, and I was in and out of my family's lives and stuff, but they're kind of like, hey, man, like I was losing all kinds of weight. My friends were saying, dude, you're freaking out. What's going on?
Right, you don't look healthy.
No. And when this event...
Did your grandparents, you said you were sort of close with them?
And my grandparents, they were trying to help me, but I could see in their faces when I talked to them disappointment. They had an idea that something was going on.
And as an addict, you know that look.
Yeah.
Where there's love there, but you're breaking their heart. They're trying to do whatever they can, but they don't know what to do. And I'll tell you what, that look... I mean, I can see it right now if I close my eyes, and it's just heartbreaking.
Right. And, I mean, I was stealing from my family. I was stealing from my friends to feed this addiction. And I think what was happening was my behavior was getting so out of control.
Erratic.
Yeah. And I don't know why the whole incident with the SWAT team changed me. I mean, it was my family and then that. Like, you're about to go to prison. Like, these things that you're doing, you're going to end up killing somebody. Like, it's
not just juvie anymore.
This is going to be big. I'm going to end up losing my freedom. And it was like I was given a chance not to go. And that's what made me quit the methamphetamines. Now that I quit the methamphetamines, that doesn't mean I quit everything else. I just quit the methamphetamines, got away from all these people who were doing these drugs. I just was that whole scene of people. That it was like treachery, is what it was. Is what it reminded me of. You just couldn't trust anybody. Everyone's jonesing for drugs, stealing from other people, committing high risk crimes, crimes that put you in prison really quick. And after doing a year and a half in juvenile facility, I was kind of thinking to myself, I don't want to do like 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. What am I doing? This is ridiculous.
So you cleansed all your friends, you quit the meth, but you didn't quit everything.
No, I still continued drinking heavily, smoking weed heavily, using anything I could get my hands on besides cocaine and meth heavily, all the time. And I think what I was doing is the pain. I had a victim mentality. Let's just put it that way, because I'd been jumped. I had people try to take my life. My mom had wronged me. My real father had basically abandoned me. So now what? I'm a victim. All this stuff has happened because of all these other people. The little charges I got sprinkled in of these times that I haven't told you about, because I could go on for hours and hours about little courtroom incidences I've been in, DUIs and possession charges and stuff like that.
But what you're saying is you'd probably be doing what I'm doing if you went through what I went through, is kind of what your mentality was, right?
Yeah. Yeah, just ridiculous.
So you got this new group of friends, and you're not doing meth or cocaine, but you're still drinking and smoking weed heavily, as you said.
Yeah.
Are you still getting in trouble?
No. I mean, yes, I was still getting in trouble, but it was more spaced out. And I was working. I started working, and I would just go to work, get my money, go home, smoke weed, and drink. And I thought that was okay. Back then, I was pretty young, 21, 22. I was making $1,300 a week after taxes, and I would blow $800 or so on weed and alcohol and food just to have fun with my friends. Doesn't seem like...
But still holding on to that victim mentality.
Still holding on to the victim mentality. The whole, the cops are the bad guy, society's the bad guy, all this stuff.
And that kind of justifies continuing to just party your life away because you're like, well, after all, I didn't do this to me. Everyone else did this to me.
Right.
And so I kind of deserve to be able to just smoke weed and drink and party.
Right. And what it led to is I started losing jobs. I couldn't keep a job because of my addictions, because of my behavior. So what ended up happening, after years of this kind of behavior, I was just skating by. I had some friends and things like that. My grandpa, who, I said my grandparents, they were pretty good to me. My grandpa was like my dad. He passed away in 2004. So I was 21 years old when my grandpa passed away. And that tore me apart. I mean, it tore me apart. And again, I started falling into depression. And wondering what I was doing. When he was around, I had some purpose. Even though I was drinking, smoking weed, I didn't feel like that was such a bad thing. But it was the mentality that was the bad thing. And maybe it was the using the drugs that was the bad thing. And now my grandpa's gone, and he was kind of like a pillar to me, and he's gone.
He's kind of your family anchor, I assume.
Right.
Yeah.
So here I am.
The one constant solid in his life.
Yeah.
Right. So it was about, 2004, 2 years after him being gone, I had been in and out of a few jobs. Really kind of questioning what I was doing. I'm, in my 20s, a lot of my friends had graduated college, were having good careers, and where am I? I'm in and out of these jobs. I was a metal fabricator. I ended up getting a job at a trailer manufacturing facility up in northern Utah, Clearfield area. And I ended up quitting that job. I don't know. I was just lost, really. And what happened was after I'd quit that job, it really put me in a dark place. So what happened? One night I took some mushrooms with some friends to party. And after that night was winding down, I remember going up to my room and sitting there and was thinking to myself, who are you? What are you doing? Like, who have you become? Like, you're not successful. You've stolen from your family. You've stolen from your friends. You don't even have any real friends. I mean, does your family care? They say they care, but do they really care? Like, I can't keep a job. Like, I don't have money. All I do is spend all my money on drugs. Like I'm not a rap star, This ain't who I wanted to be. I'm angry. I'm hateful because of what these people have done to me. All I think about is harming them back. They're not around. I think about harming other people. I'm harming myself by doing all of this. Why am I here? I'm done. I'm done with this. And that night I decided that I was going to end my life. I'd had enough. And I sat on my bed for a bit, and I started crying, and I made a decision that this is it. I'm not going on any longer. And I had a gun that I'd had for protection, just in case, these people had ever come back around, that I could protect myself. I remember getting up and going into the bathroom. I went to go use the bathroom, and I remember just collapsing to my hands and my knees in the bathroom, and I just started sobbing. And I laid on the bathroom floor, and I just remember the cold floor on my face, and it was like good and evil in me, like, just let go. And another part of me just like, no, just stay. It's okay. And another part of me like, just let go. And I just started vomiting. It was over. I was overwhelmed. I started vomiting on the floor. I heard someone, I was living with my grandma at the time. She walked by the bathroom, and they just murmured out, just help me. And she didn't hear me. She just kept walking by. And after battling on the bathroom floor for I don't know how long and laying in a puddle of vomit, I'd had enough. The decision was made. I knew what I was going to do. So without much thought, I jumped up. I walked right back in my room, grabbed the pistol out of my bedroom drawer there, put it underneath my chin, and pulled the trigger.
Oh. You shot yourself?
I did. Right underneath the chin. Can't really see the scar. And the bullet came out right here, right at the bridge of my nose.
Yeah.
So, I don't... I could go into what it's like to do something like that. I mean, it's not something that people want to do. I don't often tell people what it's like, but I think if people knew what that actually felt like, they may not want to do it. I think people believe that you shoot yourself and you don't feel anything. That's absolutely not the case. It felt like someone hit me in the side of the cheek with a sledgehammer. And if you ever shot a rifle down a canyon before, that's what it sounded like. Just a big, long report of a gun. And it must knock me unconscious. I just kind of blasted out. I mean, I'd been doing mushrooms, so I was just kind of, out of it. It just felt like I was in like a Star Trek movie for a second, I remember hearing someone like making noises and yelling. I couldn't really make it out because my ears were ringing really bad. My head was throbbing. I could hear it sounded like something like plastic, almost like a plastic bottle, like creaking, like
crinkling,
like crackling.
Mm-hmm.
What that was the bones of my face falling apart. I could hear what sounded like someone holding a hose over the floor, or like pouring a cup of water on the floor. And what that was it was blood running out of my face onto the floor.
Oh my!
And I could hear my grandma yelling, "What have you done? What have you done?" And I couldn't really see her, but I could feel her presence by me. And I could hear her leave my room, and I could hear her on the phone with 911 pleading with them. My grandson just shot himself. My grandson just shot himself. And I remember just this feeling of like, just let go. It's over. I knew what was going on. I knew what I had just done. There was no way I wasn't going to live. I remember I started opening one of my eyes, and when I did, I exhaled, and I seen gun smoke come out of my face. And I could taste the gunpowder, smell the gunpowder, sweet, pungent type smell. My head was hurting, my face was hurting, and I could just hear her just, please hurry, and her yelling at me, why have you done this? Why have you done this? And still, I was just like, just let go. It's okay. And I could feel myself relaxing, and I was like, my body was giving out, obviously. I mean, it was a pretty big impact. It was pretty devastating. And there was something in me, and I'll never forget this feeling of saying, I'm not dying like this. I've just killed myself. I've just committed suicide. Like, that's what's just happened here. And I tried to lift myself up, and I couldn't, and my head hit the ground. And I remember when my head hit the ground, I could feel like a big sponge, and blood flew all over the wall. So I lifted myself up again, and this time I was able to get up. And I thought, I got to drive myself to the hospital now, right away. I got to get to the hospital. I'm dying. I went to go run down my stairs, and right when I did, I ran face to face with the Weber County Sheriff in the kitchen. And I remember trying to yell at him to get out of my way. I need to get to the hospital, but the roof of my mouth was hanging. My hard palate was hanging in my mouth. My tongue had been blown to pieces. I was just yelling, and blood was going all over him. There was utter shock on his face.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
He was the first responder.
He was the first responder. I feel bad for him. That's got to be the first responders are amazing human beings. I mean, what these guys go through is unbelievable. What they done for me was unbelievable. I'll never forget them. When the paramedics showed up, they told me to get down. They got me on a gurney. They started pulling me out of the house, and I was saying, "Hey, I'm done. This is over." And I was yelling at my ground, "I'm so sorry. I know what I've done." And I was in shambles.
So you had maintained kind of this conscious awareness of what you were going through, despite the damage done to your body.
Yes,
you remember it pretty vividly.
I will never forget it ever. I will never forget it. I've been told people to say, "Hey, I can't believe you remember that." I think it's very important to remember, for me personally, to know where I came from, what I lived through, and why I'm here, and why I'm doing what I'm trying to do, why I'm telling my story.
So what was that recovery like? So you went to the hospital, and then what happened?
So I went to the hospital, and I was in a coma for a little over a week. And I wasn't aware of this, but they were telling my family, "Listen, you might be changing his diapers. We don't know if he's going to come out of this or not. He's in bad shape."
You've already had brain damage from being beaten.
Yep.
And now you've, I guess, shot through your jaw, your tongue, your hard palate, and up through the bridge of your nose.
Right. And what had happened was I'd lost so much blood from this event that, again, brain damage. I wasn't getting oxygen to my brain. My arteries and stuff had collapsed. They had to do like main lines, I guess, into me to try to do blood transfusions and try to get stuff going.
Right.
I guess it was really hard for them to keep me going, keep me alive.
Sure, people bleed out pretty quickly in a situation like that. Yeah,
right. And so I remember just kind of waking up in the hospital and not really knowing what was going on.
A week later.
Yeah, about a week later. Yeah, and it was I didn't understand at first what was going on. It took me a minute to realize that the ambulance ride wasn't a dream, that this wasn't a dream, and exactly why I was here. And watching my family members crying at my bedside, asking me why I'd done this, and the guilt that I had inside of myself was unbelievable.
When they asked, "Why did you do this?" what was your answer?
I couldn't answer. I had breathing tubes in my I had a tracheotomy.
What would have your answer been?
I don't know. I don't know what my answer would have been, to be quite honest. At that moment, I don't think I hadn't put it all together yet. Why, for sure.
But your grandma was there and other family members were there?
Family and some of my older friends who were not in drugs, not doing drugs and stuff like that. They had came. People I hadn't even seen for a really long time were there every single day. I was in the hospital for about a month. I had to learn how to walk right again. I couldn't read at first. It was a big recovery process. It was very difficult. Really, really difficult.
So in the hospital for a month, but your recovery of all those faculties, kind of went on for a long time.
Yeah.
How long did that go on?
Probably another 6 months. And the mental aspect of it, I mean, when you do something like that, I lost trust in myself completely. And that lasted a decade. Really, it was tough.
After you got out of the hospital, did you go back to drinking and drugging?
No, not really. I didn't. I mean, I would drink later on, but not like I did before. I never went back to, that's what my life consists of now. That ain't what, it just kind of wasn't like that. I mean, I wasn't on the old straight and narrow, but I wasn't head over heels into drugs either. I had realized what had kind of gotten me there, what the mentality was that had gotten me there. And really, a lot of it was just not knowing my own self-worth. I didn't have any self-worth. I didn't have any value in myself. And that's what took me a long time to realize, is that I had lost my self-worth. That's why I'd done what I did back when I was in grade school, this acceptance of just, instead of accepting who I was and caring about who I was, I cared more about what other people were thinking about me than I cared about anything else.
It's interesting you had friends you hadn't seen in a long time coming to your bedside every day while you're in the hospital. What did you think about that?
It was unbelievable. It was...
because that flies in the face of when you feel worthless as a person, you can't believe people would come and do that. People who you haven't seen in forever, but that must have made an impact on you.
Absolutely. And not only them, it was the nurses as well. Even the staff there. I had nurses crying at my bedside saying, "You can make this." They knew what I had done, but they weren't judging me. And these people, my friends, they weren't judging me either. They wanted to know why, how come, like what did we do? What could have we done differently?
So they were showing you had worth to them.
Yes.
So let me ask you this. What does life look like for Casey now?
Life's a great place. It's fantastic. I love it. It's a good place. I'm glad to be alive. I have a family now. It's great. I try to treat everyone with respect, especially, not knowing how other people are feeling. Right now I've been trying to go around talking to schools and stuff like that, trying to kind of spread my message and empower people, tell people what...
So you're able to go into the schools and share a version of this story to try to do what? What's your goal?
My goal is to get people to treat each other in a genuine manner, to treat each other with respect, because you just don't know what someone else is living with. You don't know what burdens they have. Don't judge. It's just because someone's different than you, don't judge them.
Just because their clothes aren't fashionable and just because they don't have all the same cool stuff. Kids need that message, don't they?
Absolutely. I mean, look at where we're living in right now. We have, my buddy's daughter, is 11-year-old, just committed suicide. I mean, we have kids now committing suicide. It's unbelievable. The rate of suicide is unbelievable right now. And a lot of it is that. It is the separation. Instead of understanding that how alike we all are, we worry about how different we all are. And we're really not all that different. We all have bad days, and we just don't know when we say something nice to somebody that it may save their life. You just don't know.
That's true.
And we need it. You just treat people with respect. And like I tell kids, most of all, if you're into drawing, be into drawing. If you like math, if you like coloring, whatever it is, like it. That's okay. That's great. Do what you do. Be who you want to be.
Validate yourself and your passions and interests.
Absolutely. And if, like me and Mr. Scott are different, but if he wants to do something different, hey, that's awesome. I'm glad that you like doing that. But can I help
that
you
he
with
wears
that?
weird hats? And
Yeah.
You know my dad, Mr. Scott?
I do not.
Because I'm Casey. Hey, Casey, thank you so much for sharing your story. It's amazing, and I'm in awe, and so much to the fact that I want to have you back on the podcast to talk more about what's going on with you. So, thank you. What would you say to somebody out there who might be in a dark place?
There's always someone that cares, for sure. make a phone call, reach out to somebody. Don't be afraid to ask for help, ever. Don't let your own pride stop you from getting help. There's always someone out there willing to help you.
I love that. Dr. Matt?
Yeah, it's hard. I love that message. It's hard, though, for people, especially younger people, to know that. But the more we hear stuff, the more it sticks. And it's wonderful that you're spending your time giving back and trying to get that message out to kids, because, the younger a person can accept the fact that they're loved, that they're important, the less likely they would be to consider taking their lives, and the more likely they will be to accept and reach out and get some help. So I appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you. I'm also writing a book right now regarding this, so for adults, so that everyone can read it as adults.
I'll tell you what, when that book's done, you come back here, and we'll talk about it, and we'll get it going.
Sounds good.
I appreciate it. Hey, wishing you nothing but success and love in the new year. Thank you for inviting Project Recovery into your ears, into your home, into your cars. If you know somebody who needs some help, have them do what I did. Give Pinnacle Recovery Center a call. You're listening to Project Recovery, a KSL podcast.
The contents of this program are for informational purposes only. The program is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician, licensed therapist, or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you've heard on this program. KSL does not recommend or endorse any specific tests, physicians, products, procedures, opinions, or other information that may be mentioned on the program. Reliance on any information provided on the program is solely at your own risk.